The most important podcast in Louisville basketball history is being recorded right now, and it's not because of any other reason other than this is the next Louisville podcast. Alan Thomas, Presley Meyer, Roman Kelly in the building. Guys, we haven't all gotten together to talk about basketball in a long time. Like, throughout the entire summer, you guys have been holding it down, which I love. But I had to come in because we have 16 days as of right now until Louisville basketball hosts Kansas for maybe the biggest exhibition in Louisville basketball history. Am I fair in saying that? I'm sure somebody's going to come in and be like, well, in 1978, they played the Marines and I don't know. I'm sure there's something important that happened at some point.
The number 3 seed preseason.
Yeah, right. And it was an exhibition. No, I think you're right. I think it might be the most. Give me an ACC game. There's probably one last season, but give me an ACC game, ACC team that played any other conference team that played in an exhibition ever. I don't know. But this one you're looking at, two top 15 teams potentially. It's a big deal around here. Like, I'm sure it would be in Lawrence too. But we're looking forward to this one.
Louisville basketball, Kansas, 16 days, folks. 16 days from the time that we're recording, and we're here to talk all things Louisville basketball. A lot going on, right? Today we saw ACC Media Day. We'll react to that. We talk a little bit about Louisville basketball preseason rankings. We're seeing some movement in the ESPN preseason polls and whatever other nonsense and mischief that we might get into, including, but not limited to, Tyrann Stokes. This guy, unbelievable. I mean, is that where we start? We start there. I mean, yeah. I think if you're a Louisville basketball fan, this is probably the least talked about thing. Big time media coverage, right? Like it's the least talked about big story. Just because now that Louisville, it seems like, if you haven't been following Louisville basketball recruiting or you're not a big follower of such things, obviously it's discussed. But I think that this is a topic that's gone on the back burner a little bit after Louisville fans thought it was almost a shoo-in that Tyrann Stokes, the number one player in the country for the 2026 class, would end up at Louisville. Louisville had all the momentum in this recruitment, and all of a sudden it's gone by the wayside a little bit. And I think that Louisville fans have been natural to react in an apathetic way, right? That it's just been on to the next one, we'll get them next time type of mentality. But I think there's more to it, right? Tyrann Stokes, a local guy, a guy that, it felt like Louisville led for the majority of his recruitment. I mean, things have cooled significantly, right? I mean, I think maybe Louisville's was listed in his top 5, but that's more of a pat on the back, like thanks for supporting me type of thing. I don't know, but regardless, guys, thoughts on the Tyrann Stokes recruitment, what that's looked like, and how big of a deal really is this that Louisville ultimately is not, I mean, it's seemingly not even in the running to land the number one player in the 2026 class.
I blame Adidas, fellas. I blame Adidas. Here's what's happening here. Maybe a bit of a conspiracy theory, a little bit, but here's what's happening.
I like those.
Adidas knew how big of a deal it was to get Tay Kenny on their side, right? And as soon as they felt like Nike was going to give maybe more to Tyrann Stokes and they were willing to potentially offer, all in on making sure Tay Kenny ended up at Adidas. Kansas willing to offer a little bit more, so they're going to ride with the Kansas side, make sure that he gets that Adidas deal and signs with the school, right, that is trying to ensure that it's them getting him. And as soon as Adidas didn't have any role in getting Tyrann Stokes, any realistic chance in getting Tyrann Stokes, I think Louisville really didn't have a chance either, fellas. I think when we're talking about the number one player in the class, and a class that, hate to say it, is seeming like his ass, according to all of the people who talk and write about that kind of a thing. That's just a fair way to put it. I'm not one of those people, so I'm not going to say there's seeming like there's a drop-off in talent from the top-level recruits in the 2026, 2020. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. We all know what they're saying about the 2026 class. So I think because of that same exact reason, the fact that it doesn't seem like the 2026 class is actually looking like the last couple. The top couple of recruits in that class not seeming like they're in the same kind of tier as the top couple of recruits in the last couple of classes. I don't think Tyrann Stokes is a Cooper Flag and AJ DeBanta. I think he's good. I think he's the best player in the class. I'm not trying to sound like I'm coping. I'm just saying, like, honestly, I think, because of the drop off, he's getting, he I think would be a top 15 in the current class, right? I'm gonna give him his credit, right? If he reclassified even. I'm just saying because of what is lining up underneath him, it's seeming like it's such a big deal. What I will say on the Louisville side of things specifically, the role he'll play on the floor for us, we can go find in other freshmen, in foreign guys, in transfer portal, because our wing player, our inside out guy, he'd be like a very extremely skilled, extremely athletic version of Javon Hadley with a better handle and probably a little bit better of a shot, right? That's the body type. That's kind of the bit of the play style. If you backpedal while I'm bringing it up the floor, I'm going to get to the rim. If you don't have the size to put a shoulder on me, I'm getting to the rim, right? If you do have that size, I probably have the speed advantage and the handle advantage. He's that kind of a player, really, really extremely talented player. But the Louisville wing play is predicated on shooting, predicated on moving without the ball, predicated on the little things and playing off the ball extremely well, right? And I'm not saying he can't do those things, but I'm just saying I don't even think in the Pat Kelsey system a Tyrann Stokes would have really been optimized as much as a top guard recruit is going to be each year and get year in and year out, which is why I think we were, as soon as we kind of realized maybe Tate Kenny and Tyrann Stokes, the number for those two was a lot closer than maybe people thought. We were all in on Tate Kenny, it seemed like, because that's the guard, right? That's the shooter. That's the playmaker. Tyrann Stokes is the hammer inside out. I've got the shot. If you give it to me, I'm trying to get to the rim because nobody on the floor can stop me, kind of a guy. And, I think that is less needed in a Pat Kelsey system. Here's what I will say. A player in your backyard, in the fence, in the complex of your neighborhood, fellas, you've got to go get him. I'm sorry. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm not on a off the court aspect. This is a big miss. I'm going to admit it. It's unfortunate. Now, to be fair, based on what I've kind of hear about what the coaching staff's willing to spend, on certain types of players, if the numbers that I'm hearing about Tyrann Stokes are true, then, that's why he's headed to a potential extremely set financial school with a lot of money to spend on basketball, right? With the Nike deal, right? He's just, because he's in the place he is in his class, he warrants that much more money than I think Louisville basketball is probably willing to shell out for a guy. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you kind of painted it perfectly. On this team, Tyrann Stokes, you're not going to draw up anything for him to get a clean look at a three, right? That's not the kind of player he is, and that's not the kind of play that Pat Kelsey would draw up for a kid like this. Think Case and Pryor, so that kind of role, Kenai Roos. We're not going to draw up a picket fence, or we're not going to draw up a off the ball curl or anything for you, Tyrann Stokes, to shoot a three, right? So Louisville fans, I think, can sleep at night.
And we don't do the mid-range thing, Alan. Sorry to interrupt, but we don't do the mid-range thing here.
Yeah. I mean, and Tyrann Stokes is a dog, right? Like, and defensively, like, he imposes well. Like, he's not an elite defender, but he can get physical down there. But you're talking rim running, you're talking backdoor cut. You know what I mean? You're talking like screen for this guy so he can go, just work his way in bully ball, maybe ISO or something like that. NBA style. Like, this is it's going to be a rare draw up, assumingly that we're going to go into the portal and things like that and get shooters. Like, Pat Kelsey wants to shoot threes
and move the ball.
Yeah, but I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, because I think, and not that this is the end all be all for Pat Kelsey. He's put together an incredible, like, this is where I'm rocking with Pat Kelsey too. Like, and I'm going to shit on him and rock with him at the same time, right? Like, this was an opportunity with Taylor Kinney too. Supposedly Taylor Kinney and supposedly Tyrann Stokes came back to you and said, here's what they're offering, coach. I really want to be here, but money does talk, right? And so, like, here's an opportunity for you to come off and say, hey, talk to your executives or whoever's in charge of money, whoever's going to help you get that person for appearance purposes, for all the things you've been saying in the media, like not ducking smoke, PGU, everything, right? Like, here's the opportunity for you to be like, hey, like, I know I'm a nice guy and I seem like, your grandpa, I talk and act like that. Oh gosh, golly, but hey man, we need this kid. I have to land this kid, like one of these kids. And I need you to move mountains for this, right? I can see that and I can go off the deep end. The other part of me is like, when they interview these kids, and mind you, these are 17, we've talked about this before, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. I'm not gonna shit on recruits or anything like that. Do whatever you want, son, for your future. Like, I'm happy for you in the long run. I've said on this pod before, we still love Rondo around here. If you want to go do good in the West End, I'm not going to knock you for that, right? Like, come on, be real. I see people doing that. But at the same time, like, in this day and age, how long is it going to take before we get to a point where when we talk to parents and we're talking about recruiting, we talk to kids and we're talking about recruiting, in this day and age, this NIL era, where it's like, so why Louisville? And they say, hey, you know what? They offer me a million extra. And so, like, what would you guys do? Like, can we just be real and not say, well, I walked down the hallway and I saw Joel Embiid on the wall. And like, it just like, it got to me. No, they gave you $5 million or whatever it was. You know what I mean? That's the thing is, like, as a fan, I'm starting to become, trying not to be an old man here. I'm starting to become desensitized to all of this. Well, I went here because of this. I heard Ryan Conwell earlier today say that he came to Louisville for the culture and things like that. He named a few things that really touched me, honestly. And I know his grandpa and his dad, that made me feel good, like, to hear that after the past couple of days. But I want a player, and I will respect him and anybody else around him, his agent, whoever. If you come out and say, like, because this is the way the world works, like, hey man, they gave me a couple extra million, I got this Nike deal. Like, what would you do? Like, I had to, I'm trying to set myself up for life. Like, I would walk away from that and say, you know what? Shit, me too.
I get it, man.
It's tough,
I was just going to say, I get what you're saying, Alan, 100%. I do think that if we were Louisville fans and this was happening to Kentucky, or if it was happening to, another fan base that we like to give a lot of hell,
and it will.
We'd be dishing it out.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important to keep in mind, right? Like, a lot of this sounds like a whole lot of cope, like Roman said. It is. I mean, it is a big deal in the sense that
his mom is a U of L fan. His mom's like us. That's a huge whiff. I don't like calling it a whiff because you're only in control of so much as a head coach, right? And even Josh Hurd, right? There's only so much that you can do when you're trying to ensure you have the tools to also build a competent roster from top to bottom, year in and year out. His mom, like, this is a Louisville fan family that we're missing out on. He grew up here. He's doing his stuff like we mentioned in the last podcast, Alan. Like, he's doing stuff downtown at the Dirt Bowl. He's fundraising. If that aspect of it doesn't get worse than that as a miss. So we do want to make sure we know, like, we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
On the court, though,
I was going to say, I'm not
than Tyrann Stokes on the court. No,
yeah.
For the sake of the Pat Kelsey system. I mean, it might be a hot take, but
agree. No,
that's a pretty hot take.
Sorry, Press.
Roman. It is.
No, that's a good take. Yeah.
No, I do want to make sure that we contextualize it in a sense that Louisville historically has been a program that when they're in on these top kids, a Kentucky, a Duke, hell, a Gonzaga these days, right? One of these bigger name programs, and now that the SEC teams in basketball are getting a lot more of this revenue share, it's historically been these other blue blood type of programs. When Louisville's in on these types of players, they've developed a reputation for getting in early with these types of guys, and then ultimately those guys ended up going somewhere else. And so when you have a guy that's in your backyard that grows up a Louisville fan, that everybody's talking about the fact that, he's a Cardinals guy. Like, this is it does feel like, in a sense, that a lot of this recruitment was very much handed to the staff and to Louisville in general. And so, I mean, I do think that we need to, I mean, it'll be something that's assessed over time, right? Like, how well does he do once he ends up making his choice and going somewhere? I don't even know what the word is at this point. Is he in Kentucky? it's pretty much guaranteed he's going to Kentucky. Is that right? Or
could potentially be
Twitter,
Oregon still.
He's already there. According to Twitter, he's on campus right now. He's getting shots up with what's his name, Darren Rippey at Pro Day. According to
already the leading scorer in the SEC, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with all of that in mind, I mean, I don't know how else you without putting any sort of spin on it. I don't know how else you look at this from a 30,000 foot view or whatever it is, and say that this isn't a whiff. I mean, it's not it's not a good look, right? When you recruit a kid this hard, and that's what happens. I will say, obviously, now that money is a factor, undoubtedly, if Louisville had gone tit for tat with whatever other teams were offering, I think you see Tyrann Stokes puts on a Louisville jersey.
Yeah.
I also don't perceive this coaching staff being a staff that's willing to do that, and I don't perceive this athletic department being an athletic department that's willing to have those conversations and just go all in on one player. I mean, you're seeing in football what happens when you go all in on the wrong dude. I'm not to be disparaging or anything of that nature, but my constant remarks to the football guys is, what happens if Louisville develops a quarterback and they spend Miller Moss money on the offensive line? What's that look like? And it's the same sort of thing in basketball, right? But on a much more intensified stage because of what's at stake, right? Because only 5 guys are on the court at one time and they play both sides of the ball. So it's just only magnified and intensified in this sense. And Louisville just doesn't strike me as a program right now that's just going to go, just get into an arms race with another school, especially when the way that the transfer portal and everything, all of the evolution of college sports over the last decade, especially when it's in this sort of state where you can go out, and I'm not saying you're going to go out and find a Tyrann Stokes in the transfer portal, but I would say it is $4 million. I think, right, exactly. Yeah. Right? Exactly.
He's on draft boards right now, so I'm just,
Yeah. So that I think that's more of the mindset that they're taking. But I mean, Louisville fans, if you're competitive, if you have this mindset of being this person that likes to be a Twitter terrorist or likes to take more of a true rivalry approach at recruiting. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow if Tyrann Stokes puts on a UK hat here in a little bit. And essentially, for all intents and purposes, when Michael Brown was playing for Team USA and Tyrann Stokes was in almost notching a quadruple double over the summer, the way the conversation read was very simple. It was that Tyrann Stokes was a future Louisville Cardinal. Not only that, the announcers were literally saying, future Cardinal Tyrann Stokes, right? Yeah. So you can't quantify this as anything else other than Louisville kind of flopping on this situation. Regardless of how you spin it, if Louisville's only, and look, I don't know the numbers. I'm just saying, this is more the thoughts that are coming from social media more than anything. I don't know any of this stuff. I have no inside information. But say it's $4 million and Louisville's only willing to offer $2 million. I still think that there should be a gravitational pull for this kid in a sense that I don't think if it was close enough where money came into factored in, I don't think that Louisville's a school that's just going to say, oh, well, you want 2.2, we can only go to 2 million, and that's where we're stopping type of thing, right? And I think that there's a large enough gravitational pull from the University of Louisville for a kid like this that it's a player that you should have landed. Just being straight up about it. This is a once in a decade type of player. You don't see local kids be the number one player in the class very often. And you definitely don't see them being Louisville fans. So we'll see how this plays out over the next couple of years. Is this really a number one overall type of pick? Is this a guy that can lead a team to a national championship? Does he demand the type of money that rumors are saying that he was paid? all of that remains to be seen. But one thing that we know right now, where we stand, it's not great for Louisville. And so I do think that we have to kind of take at least an angle of we never poo-poo on the program or anything of that nature, but we got to say it how it is, and it's not the best situation, and whoever they find to replace him, it's going to be in the aggregate, right? Like they say in Moneyball.
Like Moneyball, yeah.
We're replacing Stokes in the aggregate. We're not getting another Tyrann Stokes on the market.
Yeah, and I mean, I think also Pat Kelsey, he's just kind of steadfast in how he operates and the program he wants to build, the guys he goes and gets. He talked about that a little bit today. And I don't know if you saw the snippet where he was talking about, a leopard is always going to have spots, like that quote where he's saying you can't change the person. You can develop a player, but the person that comes in needs to fit the type of person he's looking for. But I think, in my opinion, he's looking at his squad and he's like, I like my guys this year. And we went and got Michael Brown, who honestly, this is not even me being a homer, even though I do that a lot. Michael Brown looked like he was the best player on Team USA over the summer.
He was.
And I think he got snubbed out.
Say it, Alan.
And I think he got
Say
snubbed,
it. He was the best player on
MVP.
Team USA.
Yeah, but I mean, on paper, with your eyes, I think they wanted to give it to AJ. Whatever, AJ DeBance is a beast too. But Michael was bought. He was bought, for this roster for what, a couple million, 1.5 or 2 million, and I know that this year, like, the ante is up and stuff, but that ante can't go up to the sky, right? Like, at the end of the day, too, Josh and Pat are constantly talking about this. Pat's not saying pull the trigger. He's talking with Josh. Hey, does this make sense? Because at the end of the day, it is good that the soccer team beat number 1 Stanford. I was at that game. That was awesome. It is good if the volleyball team's in the top 5. It is good if the baseball team's getting $1 million from Danny Wimmer. It's good when the women's basketball team is in the top 16 coming in this year. We have something to look forward to all the fucking time because these guys don't spend their money stupidly. And shout out to Josh Hurd because he took over a fucking mess. Like, we were almost in the red. So I kind of am on the side of, I see other schools with donors coming in. I think I saw, what was the school that came in today that had a bunch of money?
Stanford.
South Carolina or something like that. Stanford, yeah. Speak of the devil. And Josh isn't getting that, but he's like, this is what I got, and I think I can sprinkle it where I need to because it's all about the athletic department to thrive. And, again, I think Pat Kelsey looks at his squad he has now for what he got it for, and we don't know exactly, 10, 11 million. And we're according to ESPN, we're a top 10 team. So, kudos.
Great transition, Alan, because we did want to talk about I know that we've gotten into a little bit what the off-season, now going into the preseason rankings look like, and what's the perception for Louisville basketball. Pat Kelsey takes over a program a year ago that won 8 games. They won 4 games the year before. Couldn't be any worse. They literally didn't even have a game in the ACC. What was it? The ACC SEC Challenge. Yeah, because they finished in dead last, right? Like, that's how bad we were talking. Like, the distance that they fell under Kenny Payne and what Pat Kelsey took over and how quickly he turned things around. It's very interesting to see what the perception of Louisville basketball was heading into last season versus heading into this season. And I think that a huge narrative, and the reason that we are so invested in these rankings is because of the fact that, the perception has completely taken a 180 year over year nationally. And how does Pat Kelsey, how does his coaching staff handle things, right? And obviously he gives the same answer, and I think we're gonna grow fond but also weary of these Kelseyisms, right? Because he's gonna give you that same canned answer of, all we're focused on is how good of a practice we can have tomorrow, right? All we're focused on is the next game, the next practice, the next weight lift, the next class, the next poop, like whatever it is. And so it's important to understand this from a national perspective. And to me, Alan, what you brought up right before we jumped on is important. The fact that ESPN comes out with the rankings, there was sixth? They were 7th or 6th, and they've swapped places with BYU. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What are our overall thoughts, though, on the preseason rankings? Is it fair? Is it accurate? What's your overall thoughts on this assessment from ESPN?
I was going to defer to Roman because before the pod, I was eager. I'm always eager to hear what he has to say. But I think just me is a really basic take for me, right? Louisville swapped with BYU. Now this is based on the way too early that they put out in like June or something like that. And so BYU was number 6, Louisville was number 7. I don't remember these rankings. Like I don't remember where Louisville was in ESPN's way too early. I know that we were like top 10 in most. But yeah, there we are. So that's what they have to see. I don't know if people that see this or are reading this can read all that, but I read it over earlier, and I think they're just kind of talking about how the pieces fit overall. If anything, like the reason that Louisville and BYU would swap is just that because with Michael being the starter, he's extremely dangerous. Obviously, I think that tape in the Team USA over in France, I believe, or wherever that was after the Way Too Early came out, the original one. So I think it's more of they're just absorbing all of the off-season stuff, just like we are. They're people too. Like at the end of the day, you have to remember that. Like they go home, like Presley owns State of Louisville. He goes home like everybody else, but like on Twitter, it's 14,000 followers or something like that we have, because of you guys. And people have to remember that, like, you punch a clock every day, and you got your kids and your wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things that do like Roman's on a radio station. People are people. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like people do certain things. So that may not be their job, but it may be something they're into, or they're when they vote, or when the the rankings come out. So like I think, as a group, like those people have looked at Louisville and said, you know what, I think they're just a little bit better than BYU. And I'm not going to sit here and overreact to it. I'd love to. I'll overreact to the AP poll on Monday when that comes out, because that's the one that I'm obviously that's the grandfather, the mother of them all. When that comes out, everybody starts to do spin-off takes and stuff like that in podcasts about the AP poll, kind of like this. But Roman, yeah, we never got to your take before the show. Mine was kind of just a repeat of what I said. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
I mean, about the top, that Way Too Early top 25, and specifically, I feel like we'll have time in which we'll go into the other teams that are near and have been up there in it. I've obviously got a couple bones to pick with some of the teams that are up there. It's obviously weird to see us move up and down when obviously nothing is really going down, really. So kind of funny to watch them try to just guess the way that they're guessing. But I like it. 7-6. Let's just make our way up to 1. Let's just slowly make it happen, fellas. I'm not mad at it at all. But when you look at the depth on this team, that's what it comes down to. We've got multiple elite players at every position. Not a lot of teams have that. And when you look within what each of those position groups are and how they look for us, I mean, the guards, the shooting, and the athleticism we have in the backcourt on the offensive end is absolutely unreal. The comments and things we keep hearing about the Adrian Woolley defensive ability and how that's shocking people and alerting people and putting people on standby, that is very, very high praise. That's good news. Michael Brown Jr. is electric, right? Ryan Conwell just showed he can do it up against some of the best talent in the nation. Isaac McNeely, the numbers, the efficiency, the 3-point shooting, when he had to carry the load and literally be everything for a Virginia team that no one around him really knew what they were doing. Now he's going to come here and be able to get spoon-fed in the fast break, wide open threes. Like, people understand the players that we've got, and they see the depth that we've got. Returning players, how many guys we got returning, fellas? 5? Kanai, Jadvon, Kaysen, Kobe, Ali.
It's the faithful 5. Yeah, the faithful 5.
Those, I mean, granted, and Cole Sherman. Granted,
6.
Those guys, Cole, Kobe, and Ali, obviously Kobe and Ali redshirting with injuries. Cole getting in at the end of the season there, showing the strap with the 3. We love that, but obviously he's a walk-on. Has to more of his duties come at practice, not in games.
Sherm, as they call him.
Not a lot of teams that have aspirations like we've got and roster depth like we have that kind of roster continuity as well, fellas. So we've got the versatility at every position group. We've got the athleticism. We've got the continuity. You've got the versatility as well, So Ali Khalifa being one of the best passers at his position. You've got a pro player starting above him in Sonny Frew, right? You've got another pro guy coming in behind them whenever we need it, and Vangelis Zugris. Kanai Roos was a top 100 player in his class, right? This is a looking to make that sophomore jump. So having more understanding of what's happening now, right? Whole year of learning how to be a college basketball player in the Louisville Cardinals, specifically Pat Kelsey system. Now, I expect a jump from him. So all of that, the people who know ball know we should be up there. 6 is minimum.
Yeah. Ball knowers know, man. And I think that there's so many sneaky players on this team that people aren't talking about. And I think maybe the national perception is nationally people are starting to catch on, right? I don't think in the offseason you go, okay, they got Isaac McNeely. Wow, that's a big pickup. And then you just kind of go on to something else, whatever's next in your life, and forget. Is you're assessing this Louisville roster and you're trying to preview the ACC and you're previewing college basketball as a whole. I think that nationally a lot of people are like, damn, I mean, Kobe Rogers 3 years ago, whatever it was, won a D2 national championship. Mm-hmm. He, was the starting point guard on a really solid College of Charleston team.
We have gotten Presley on Kobe Rogers. We have done it. So this is the check. Presley's talking about Kobe Rogers.
Yeah.
And he's been singing his praises. So I'm gonna call you when he goes off on one game.
Anyway, you have to you got to mention Kobe Rogers in every starting 502 podcast, because that's really these are the things that really are differentiating factors between last year's team and this year's team, right? I think if you have a fully healthy roster a season ago, that team is even more special, but I think that they had their limitations, but by the same token, right? You had a lot of guys that could play, multi-positional, whether they really should have been put in those positions, I don't know, right? Like, should Javon Hadley been playing center? The most minutes on the team? Should he have been playing center? Right? Like, I mean, you could go down the list, I guess, is what I'm getting to, right? And I think a lot of guys were forced to play more minutes than they initially expected. I think a lot of people played out of position last year. I think even if you have some attrition on this roster, there's still a lot of really awesome pieces, right? Like, we went into depth. It's been a while now. It's been since Louisville landed Big Z. And my thoughts are still very much the same, that Vangelis Zugris is probably like the 11th or 12th man on this team, right? Like, that. This is a guy that it's hard for me to see where he fits in. But all of a sudden, I mean, God forbid, knock on wood, you have an Ali Khalifa doesn't come back the way that we expected. Kanai Roos, gets banged up. Mo Kamara is not able to take over, and all of a sudden you have Big Z playing 28, 30 minutes in a game. And I think we'd be comfortable with that. I don't think that Big Z is I don't think he's a starting caliber guy compared to when you look at the totality of the roster. But I do think that last year you didn't have that type of guy. Last year you didn't have a guy that you could afford for them to be developmental, right? Like, you had to have Kanai Roos come in and be an above-average contributor for what he was expected to be. I think this year, Mo Kamara, you're going to have to have a lot of attrition on this roster to see him get a ton of minutes, just because there's so many guys that are in front of him. And then I think the other thing, too, is that in the offseason, I think just like us, a lot of people started to realize Michael Brown is absolutely the real deal. Like, he's almost an afterthought at this point, in a sense that, like, he's just the given. He's the given on this team because we've seen him the most recent. We have that recency bias. We have that idea and understanding of what kind of player that he can be and what he's expected to be. And so it's almost like a given that he's the baked-in starter at point guard, that he's going to be this 10, 6, and 6 type of guy. And so it's just it's a good feeling to have. It's a good feeling to have that Louisville is becoming that type of team again. It's been a long time since we've been previewing a roster that we've had this much hype around it, but true. I think it's fun to just look over and analyze this, because I'm getting to a final point here as well. I think the last thing is that the way that we exited the season last year is going to really make us hyper analyze every little thing like a jump up in rankings, because every little thing contributes to that national perception. And that difference between getting this year, I think we'd be talking just previewing the season, a top 3 seed, right? So that difference between the last number 1 seed on the West Coast versus the first number 1 seed near home could be huge. The difference between a 2 and a 3 or whatever it is, right? And so I think that we're going to kind of hyperanalyze a lot of this stuff, just because last year, I mean, we had a whole discussion, basically a whole podcast worth of discussion about, can Louisville be a 2 seed? And then the wheels started to kind of get wobbly, and then I wouldn't say they fell off. I mean, they played in the ACC championship game, but you took a tough loss. You gave up a late lead in the ACC championship game, and then all of a sudden you get saddled with an 8 seed playing a Creighton team that is a terrible matchup. And I guess the point that I'm getting to is, I think Louisville fans are going to be ultra sensitive to the fact that every little thing matters this season. I think this is a team with Final Four aspirations, and the team that you draw in the tournament, your path to a potential Final Four and championship game is super important. And I think little things like this matter. Starting out the season the right way matters. Being expected to be a top 2-3 team in the ACC matters. And so that's why we're so hyper-focused on all these little things, is because all of these things add up to create the ultimate bigger picture that we're going to be sitting here talking about, in the waning weeks of March. So just my thoughts on that and why I think it's important. People are always going to say that it's BS and whatever, but the hype around the sport and getting people excited and knowledgeable about this team is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you talk about games, like ACC games this year. I think throughout last year, our conference schedule wasn't as sexy. Like the narrative really took hold, I think, in the middle of the season. When Louisville, we bashed SMU on the road. That's when I think, not to say that was the peak of the season, but that's when you started to say, like, whoa, right? You beat SMU by like 20-something points or whatever it was. Like, beat them down, on their home floor. And that's, Andy Enfield. Like, that's no slouch. Like, they had a good roster. They were beating people up. And I think this year, if it the other day, I can't remember if it was 2 days ago or maybe yesterday, but the schedule times came out. It could have been a week ago, actually. All the times run together. But the schedule came out, the days. It was Monday. Today is
Wednesday.
Technically, and when you guys hear it, it'll probably be Thursday or Friday, listener. So days ago for you. But when the schedule was released, I did kind of highlight some of the games. Not specifically that I'm like, oh, I want to cover these or I want to go to these, just more of like what time it is, what's the big catch around it. And one of the things is, thank God for Will Wade. And honestly, like, I love Will Wade. Like, I think people around here really respect him. But one of the bigger games that people are, I think it may end up being one of the biggest, if not the biggest game of the year, because I think Will Wade has a tough roster, and I think I love the way he coaches. I think he's going to have them super duper high in the rankings. I think they are a sleeper Final Four team. We play them, and I can't remember the date, but it's actually that's a whiteout at home for us, and it's Big Monday at 7:00. So just combing through the schedule, like, you would not see that last year unless it was Louisville playing Duke or like UNC, just because Duke and UNC draw ratings, because that area of Charlotte, Durham, that, they draw ratings just like Louisville does in Kentucky. No red out for senior day. I did notice that. That's kind of weird. That might be the first time in a while. I don't even know if PK did that last year. But the red out this year is against Georgia Tech at home, which that's a get-back game for us. That's fine. But the one I really want to talk about, this is just me, and then you guys can talk about the ones that you're looking forward to. If you have a question about time, just holler at me. I have a few times written down. Is the 6:30 game. This is the game that I'm most excited about. 6:30 p.m. in Cincinnati, right? So that's an hour and a half drive. It's on a Friday night. You get off work. A lot of people will ask to leave early that day and then just shoot up there. If you lose, you're home by about 10 o'clock with a frown. You crack open your beer, whatever you do.
You're all
Maybe you
good.
smoke a doob, whatever. Whatever you do, and you just kind of, you sulk a little bit. If you win that game, Cincinnati's really fun, and the Heritage Center, where it is, people that don't know, it's pretty much butts up to the Ohio River. It's right on the river, just like whatever Cincinnati Reds stadium is. Like, it's just down the river from that. It's an older stadium. Back in the day, it was kind of notorious for, or infamous, I should say, for there was a stampede at a concert from The Who in the 70s, and a lot of people died. So what they've kind of done, my daughter and wife actually went to Billie Eilish a couple months ago, and they say, like, the exit's a little bit better because I told them, like, it happened with a funnel. Anyway, I won't get it, but this is the place, right? It was, like, nationally, that was, like, a huge story in the 70s. That's where this place is, but that area of downtown Cincinnati and then just a little bit down is so fun. You can get on a scooter, pretty much go anywhere. Even at night, it's relatively, like, quote unquote safe. Like, if you don't feel safe in a downtown area, it's a really cool area. You can go in, walk around that area. So I think, like, for Louisville fans, that is, like, ideal. And I think, like kudos to the athletic department, whoever set this up, that knew that a bunch of Louisville fans were going to make this trek. Like me, I bought a ticket earlier today, actually, because, like, I know for a fact, like, I might end up staying in Cincinnati regardless that night, just because. Just depends on what's going on. But the only time I didn't see was the Baylor game in Fort Worth. There's no time for that one listed. And the reason that one's important to me is because it is, I believe, 3 days before or 3 days after SMU, which SMU is in Dallas, and Baylor is in Fort Worth. So, like, 3 days apart. I don't think Louisville leaves that area. I think they just kind of do Texas, lack of a better term, or do Dallas, the Dallas area. But anyway, I really liked, like, just the schedule times that I combed through. There's a few late ones, sure. You're always going to have the sleepers. But I thought it was just, like, well thought out, and, like, I think they just hear the cries of the fan base that are like, like, and also, like, help us play our hype into these big games, like NC State. Like, I think that's going to be a huge game. So I think Louisville's going to be really high. I think we're going to be top 10 by that time. I think NC State's going to be a top 10 team. I think it's going to be a huge game.
Should be.
Big Monday
Yep.
whiteout. Yeah.
Ready for that one.
I'm ready.
So just some quick thoughts and some clarifications as well. So the Heritage Bank Center is the arena that's right next to Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever been to a Reds game, you can park basically the same places that you'd park to go to a Reds game, and walk there. And you're right, Alan. It is a good place to catch a game. It's not the Center, but it's a nice spot. Obviously, not where Cincinnati plays all of their home games, but not too far off either. And it'll probably be a Cincinnati prominent crowd with.
I'd rather play here, to be honest with you, just because of the area. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a better area. I think you're right. Like, as far as a natural,
cooler,
Yeah. As far as other games that kind of stick out, the three big Monday games. So you have a Monday game at Duke and a Monday game at North Carolina, and then you're hosting, like you suggested, Alan. You're hosting North Carolina State at home on Big Monday for a whiteout game, which is pretty sick. As far as I'm trying to think of the other thing. Oh, the Baylor game, that's at 4 p.m.
Okay.
At
Did
Baylor.
I miss that one? Okay.
But that's
I guess I missed
and
that.
That's in Fort Worth, which also happens to be essentially right where SMU plays. So
they PM. The SMU game is what, 3 days later at 8 or 9
at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
So they're going to go from playing a game in Dallas against Baylor on Valentine's Day to that on a Saturday to that next or that following Tuesday playing at SMU. So that's a nice little trip for the team, nice little getaway. Sure. Depending on how the season falls, that's going to be your most important 3-game stretch of the season, I would venture to say, right? Because if you really think about it, that there's a 5-game stretch that's really solid there, starting with February 9th. You got NC State at home. I think that's going to be a top 5 team in the league unless something catastrophically bad happens. You're playing against Baylor essentially in an away game. Dallas is probably a 2.5 hour drive from Waco, maybe a 3 hour drive from Waco. Pretty easy little trip for Baylor fans. Then you're playing SMU at SMU on February 17th. You come back home for Georgia Tech, a team that, like you said, Alan, that's a get-back game for Louisville this season.
Red out.
At 2:15, a red out, hosting Georgia Tech. And then that very next Monday, you travel to Chapel Hill to play at North Carolina for Big Monday. So that is the de facto deciding little stretch of swing games, if you will, there. Obviously, Baylor not a conference game, but an important opponent because they'll likely be a top 25 or quasi top 25 team. So just to add a little clarification, great points made all around there. What are your thoughts as we're looking at the schedule, Roman?
Some of the tip times are a little bit weird, I think. I'm not too mad at them. I think that there has to be a mistake with that red out, Alan. Like, surely that's a mistake, right? I don't see how
I got it in the email. The only reason I had these emails is because I was a season ticket holder of football a couple of years ago, so I'm just kind of looped in. I'm just on their list now, so I get all the stuff, and I just kind of looking at it like, and I'm like, red out, Georgia Tech, and then like a week later or a few days later even, they finish the season with Syracuse at home. Maybe it's like a week later. And I thought, well, they're not doing the red out, so is senior day Georgia Tech? Like, what is it? Are we just, and then Syracuse is just another game? What is
yeah,
I don't know.
feel like senior day is always last game of the season, always a red out. Maybe that'll change.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some clarification on that. I love the different types of games we've got. There's a lot, the Junior Bridgman retirement, the 1975 celebration that they're for the Final Four team that they're going to be doing.
Too. And that's against Memphis. That's such a boomer and little kid me game. Like that game is on my birthday too. So I'm gonna be like, I might just be in there like
as a fan,
5-year-old, like for real. Yeah. Like, I mean,
I like that.
So, yeah,
that'll be great.
Cool. I like how they roped that in.
Fellas, I have to ask you guys. Obviously, they are recognizing the 1986 national championship team.
I know what you're gonna say.
On January 31st. Interestingly enough, Arkansas plays that night. Just a random factoid there. Think that'll be interesting to see how they go about that, who all on the team comes out for that. I'll be excited to, clap the right players for that and be glad that all the right guys are in there for that. So just noticing. I'm just a noticer. They call me the noticer, and I'm noticing.
What do they call you? I didn't think about that, and I did think about '86. Oh yeah, that's Kenny Payne's team, but I didn't think about Arkansas schedule conflict. Or
if they didn't play that night, would he come?
If you put that
I don't think so.
No chance. If he did, does he get booed?
I think so, unless they got PK in front on a microphone the week of, and he just started talking about like, Kenny Payne's a really special person and an A+ person, and you guys need to give all the support to Kenny Payne. Like he you can't sharpen your teeth or whatever. Like he would say something to like butter up the Kenny arrival to where we'd be like, now if Chris Mack came back, probably standing ovation, because everybody at this point, the narrative is like, guy got fucked. The guy pretty much got screwed and shit kept happening. He got what do you call it? What's the thing that
extorted?
Extorted. He got extorted like while he was here. Like tried to make it okay by recording it, just made it almost worse. Like I don't know. Like, and so I think his time here is like, at first we were just like, oh God, that dude, But I think now, especially being cool with Pat Kelsey, I think they're like friends or whatever. They have a history. But yeah, to answer your question, Roman, I mean, I don't know. I think Kenny gets booed right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think he shows up if he's free. I think they do the quick little intro thing to where each name's right after one after the other. It's not like a thing where they announce the name, that guy stands up, gets his own ovation. I don't think they would do that anyway, and they definitely would do the quick ovation if Kenny somehow was willing to go. Like that they did it when he's playing anyway, though. Just perfect opportunity for it. But overall, though, fellas, I mean, this is going to be we want this to be a tough schedule. We want the conference slate to be tough, because that means if we handle business, there should be no room for error, right? No room for discussion. We want Will Wade to be good. We want them to be a ranked team when we play them. We want to see if Syracuse can improve. They just went and got the Nathan George kid from Georgia Tech, right? Georgia Tech actually had a few guys they retained. They had a couple good, a little bit of roster continuity. So we want some of these teams to be good and them to be tough games on the road and have the ability for those tough games on the road to now what were quad 2 and quad 3 games last year to be quad 1 and quad 2 games this year, right? That's what we want from at least 2 or 3 more ACC opponents. Yeah, it's going to be tough having to travel quickly, play on weird nights some nights, but ACC has to do what it has to do. As long as we can have some we can get rid of that narrative. Well, you did that. You did it in the ACC. You went 18-2 and you were still an AC. That's the ACC for you. That doesn't need to exist any longer with some of the resources that some of these schools in the ACC have. Just a matter of getting the right guys in the right position like we've done. So hopefully a couple of schools have made the right decisions.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Roman, I think that it's so important for Louisville that the ACC is healthier this year, right? And what I mean is, you have 8 or 9 teams that really have a chance of making the tournament as you're entering the backstretch of the season. I think that's crucial. I think that's important for college basketball as a whole. I think college basketball is better when the ACC is better.
Would we get 5 last year? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I think 3, right?
No, UNC got in because of their AD.
So
UNC,
4.
so that
Clemson,
was
4,
Duke,
us.
Clemson, Duke. Yeah, UNC got the
Wasn't there one more?
The okie dokie grandfathered in.
Yeah.
I think, that was a big debate.
It was 4, not 5.
That was it. I think that was it.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, we can all agree that's atrocious.
Terrible.
And that should never happen in the ACC. Yeah. In a conference that has Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, Syracuse, who am I missing as far as other big name programs? NC State, right? Like if you just name those programs, Virginia, none of those teams should ever miss the tournament.
Yeah. Wake Forest shouldn't be as bad as they've been,
Not anymore.
Sure.
Forbes should have had them. I mean, this guy's on a hot seat, this year, in my opinion.
Sure.
Unless their expectations are just like, hey, try to get in, buddy, I think he should be there. Yeah. They're good. They're too good tonight. So it should be like 6-7 teams or something like that. I don't know.
Absolutely. But I also like the way that this sets up, right? Because when you're preparing for the NCAA tournament, obviously you want to have those experiences where you have quick turnaround times, where you're in uncomfortable situations. So, you see Louisville playing multiple neutral site games. You see on 3 different occasions you play a Saturday, Monday turnaround, and 2 of those you go on the road, which means, you have to be prepared that whenever you're finishing your post-game press conference on Saturday night, you're getting ready for Monday night. You have to get used to those quick turnarounds. And, I think the schedule set up, the schedule set up pretty cushy last year for Louisville, and part of that was because they had sucked. And so now it's set up where it's backloaded again, as we became accustomed to back in the Rick Pitino, Chris Mack days, right? Obviously, I know this has been discussed a little bit. Obviously, having Duke twice in January is odd. If you're going to play Duke twice, you'd like to have it spread out a little bit.
Schedule's so top heavy. Like, it's super top heavy. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
not that there are bad games, but like it's like the eyebrow raisers. A lot of them are up front. Now you have your
we got to find our
Baylor later.
Tried quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, you have that stretch that NC State at home, and then quick turnaround for so you have NC State, Baylor, then a quick turnaround for SMU. Mm-hmm. Then you have Georgia Tech, go to North Carolina, and then go to Clemson. So,
true, yeah.
Again, that's right. And that's going to be an odd one, right? Because they're at North Carolina on a Monday, February 23rd, and then they're at Clemson on Saturday, February 28th. So it's like, okay, well, you're down there. I know they're not neighbors or anything, but they're within probably a 4-hour drive of each other. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of a weird one. You're going down to Chapel Hill, back up, going back down to Clemson. And then you wrap up with Syracuse and at Miami, and Miami's not going to be a slouch. It's been well documented. Jay Lucas is quickly getting that program in order and things turned around. Are they a tournament team this year? That remains to be seen, but that's not going to be an easy game to finish the year on, especially when you're vying for maybe a top 4 seed in the ACC tournament or trying to win the conference overall. So a lot of interesting stuff to get into, but right around the corner, Louisville hosts Kansas for an exhibition on October 24th at 7:30 p.m. The next time we hop on here, we're probably going to be previewing the Jayhawks, guys.
Let's go.
In our lifetimes, we've never gotten to preview Kansas. I was going
to say,
this will be a fun one.
Since '93 is the last time we played them. I was alive, but I wasn't. I'm not even sure that I was aware we played Kansas at the time. You didn't have this access back then, but
was not alive.
It's been a while, and that was in Lawrence. I don't think they've ever.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were you doing in '93, Roman?
I don't even know if I was a thought yet. Really, honestly, don't even know if I was being
swimming.
I don't even know if I was being fathomed yet.
How old were your parents in 1993?
Dad was
could have been too old.
Yeah, Dad was 23. I was born in '98, so.
There you go. That's all you need to know, listener.
Okay.
Well, guys, it's been fun. I know, just a lot of spitballing, just a lot of talking about Louisville basketball without too many parameters set, and I like it that way. I like just sitting around talking like we're hanging out, drinking some beers at the bar. So, we are nearing basketball season. It feels so good.
16 days.
We cannot wait to jump in next time, preview the Jayhawks, preview Louisville basketball as we're heading into the season. Make sure you follow Alan and Roman on social media at RomyBean, at CardinAl. I don't know where the underscores are, but you'll find them somewhere.
I don't even think I know, honestly. Yeah.
Alan Thomas, he's the only one on there.
Yeah.
Go follow him. And then, of course, follow us at the State of Lou. And make sure you check out us on all social media platforms. Really popping off on the gram lately.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, it's been a pleasure as always. Until next time, Starting 502 Podcast. Let's get out of here and go Cards.
Right.